we're a hub for local. Like I'm from Smyrna. I was born and raised here. I spent all of my 20s trying to get as far away from it as I could, as most 20-year-olds do. I ended up in the military. I've traveled the world. I spent a year in the desert in Iraq in 0304. I came back, I served the community with the fire department, and like to be serving the community, or I feel like this is just like the next chapter in how I give back to my community. And agriculture is something very old, and it's something that's very human. And no matter how technologically advanced we get, and we have these interviews via internet, and computers, and our telephones and whatnot, is that we still got to know where our food comes from, and we still got to know how to take care of the animals that help us provide food. And so Neighbors is we strive to continue to be close to the ground and plug into the community and help the good citizens of this community. For those people who say, "Oh, I don't know how to garden," it's not that you don't know, it's that you don't remember, because we're not that far removed. So we'll help you all remember.
Well, hello, everyone. Today we are pleased to welcome James Smith of Neighbors Feed and Seed Supply, located at 1565 Roswell Street, not far from Smyrna Market Village in historic Williams Park neighborhood. Welcome, James. Thanks for coming.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
I was actually in your store last week. I ran into you. I was buying bird seed and tomato plants for a friend of mine. So you were very helpful, and thank you very much.
Fantastic. Yeah, it was nice to meet you in person, and so much correspondence leading up to this. So I appreciate it.
Well, great. Well, we're happy to have you. And really what this is, it's a community spotlight. We want to hear about your business. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and how you are currently operating in today's environment?
Okay, so Neighbors is, I think, the fourth incarnation of the feed store. We can't put a firm date on it, but the feed store started somewhere in the 19-teens in the city of Smyrna. Located at the railroad tracks, which made sense before trucking was, what it is today. The train came to town, dropped off all the feeds. Everybody came to the feed store to get what they need. And, in 1952, a man named Otis Dobbins came home from the Korean War, and he purchased the feed store and he changed it to Dobbins Feed and Seed. And it was Dobbins Feed and Seed from 1952 until he died in 1999. And during the 60s, 70s, and 80s, that's where you went to get anything agricultural, to take care of your animals, to take care of your yards, to take care of this. And this is before the big boxes. And, at their height, they were moving just tens of thousands of pounds of feed out their door. The story goes that there was a train derailment in the early 70s, 71, 72. It hit the building, and Dobbins had enough, and she's like, "We're moving." And trucking was taking over the train industry. Nothing came by train anymore. So they moved to the location that they're at now, I believe in 1972. And like I said, Mr. Dobbins passed away in 99, and Mrs. Dobbins and her daughter, Jody, didn't feel that they didn't want to do the feed store anymore, but they wanted to keep the building. So they sold it to David and Beverly Wisenot, who changed the name in 2000 to Backyard Feed and Seed. And they ran the business for about 15 years. And I was, in 2015, I was a firefighter with the city of Smyrna. And I had a small garden in my backyard, and I had chickens, and I was about to get bees. And I just wanted my children to know where their food came from. And I was really interested in sustainability. And I walked into the feed store and saw the business was for sale. And it was just bigger than I was. And the next thing I know, I was buying a feed store. And so over the last 5 years, we've been in business for 5 years now as Neighbors. One of the things that they did at Backyard Feed and Seed is they really built a wild bird customer base. And so we've continued that. About a year ago, I was fortunate enough to be joined by Bill Loby, he lives here in Smyrna as well. And Bill has really brought just something to the feed store to our business his mind works differently than mine. I wish he was here with me today to talk as well. He has just made the business hum. And this last year, we have plugged into so many different circles, not only in the city of Smyrna, but also outside of it. So we are a part of, we a part of the supply chain for Atlanta, which is a coalition of urban farmers. We've got people who are growing food underneath power line and easements inside the city, the perimeter. Just, you know, it's about like the thing that I care about. The reason I got involved in this business is because I wanted to, you know, be more connected to where my food comes from and how it educate people to that. And so we've really been able to do that in this last year. So, and I think it seemed like I feel like I'm rambling, but there's a second part was that how we're operating in this new environment. And I'm assuming you're talking about COVID and the pandemic that we're currently facing as a nation, as a world. So it's odd because I think that, like, so we've taken some social distance precautions. I guess that's the buzzword. We got some marks on the floor, and you know, we were washing our hands before it was cool. But I think there's something about our shop that, and I've heard a lot of people say this, and it's like there's a sense of normalcy. You know, like people come in, it's open air, there's lots of space, nobody's really crowded. It's kind of there's something very relaxing about it, and so we haven't really operated any differently than we were, and there's just been a very positive energy around it, and such. You know, these times that we're in right now. So it's been, I'm very humbled.
Well, I can see that. When I was there last week, you were out there helping every single man, woman, child, really kind of get a handle on vegetables and plantings, and that was very cool. And you're right.
Yeah, I tried to catch you before you left. I'm sorry to get a chance to say goodbye.
That's okay. That's okay. I had to run to a showing anyway. So, besides, okay, this is a great question. What is your biggest seller right now?
Well, baby chicks have certainly, like last week we received about 90 baby chicks. When we receive them, usually they're about 3 days old. I'm thinking because there's no traffic on the roads, the postal service seems to be moving a little faster, so we're getting them when they're a day old. And we sold 90 chicks in about an hour and 15 minutes last.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we can't keep them in, and we receive phone calls and a lot of excited people, a lot of disappointed people. We don't hold them, we don't pre-sell them. They're first come, first serve. So it's a little bit of I joked with Bill and the good folks that help us run the shop, and I said, you know, hey, I'm about to pull the pin on the crazy grenade, and I put it on social media, and as soon as I do that, it's like, the birds are gone. So, yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So let me ask you this. You talked about ways around the community that you help. If you were reaching out to the community for extra assistance, where would you like them to help out at, and how can they reach you?
Well, so like I said, I feel very humbled that our business is doing well right now in this time. You know, I would encourage, like, if you watch our social media, you'll see that we try to help out. Like, Smyrna is a wonderful place for small business. It really is. There's a great community. Like all the business owners in Smyrna, all the small business owners in Smyrna, we all know each other, if not like personally, but like by degrees. You know, it's just the rings are very like tightly knit. The city does a really good job of protecting small business. You don't see a lot of big boxes in there. And I would ask that, you know, just, you know, go out and, you know, if people are watching this and you want to help other small businesses, support these businesses that haven't been open or can't open because of the virus. You know, like, I mean, I could run down the list, but like, you know, like Rev, Love Street, Nutrition King, I'm sorry if I forget any, but we know such a big circle of people. Victory Hardware's been open; they've been doing a great job. You know, it's just we've really fortunate. Andre over at Porch Light, yeah, really fortunate to have such a great small business community here, and it's just yeah, we again, like I said, we're very humbled that we've been able to stay open during this time.
I think that's awesome. Can you tell us one thing about you that most viewers may not know about you?
Me personally?
Yeah. Let's get to know you.
My grandson's almost a year old.
You have a grandson.
I have my son is 24, and my grandson turns 1 at the end of the month. So I'm sure we're gonna have a party.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So in closing, what one thing do you want viewers to know about your store?
About Neighbors, that we wow. See, you said there was no gotcha questions on here. One thing.
Or maybe tell us what you sell inside the store, so all the viewers know. Besides bird feed.
Well, you know, like the one thing I want, I guess, it's less about selling and more about like knowing that we're a hub for local. Like like I'm from Smyrna. I was born and raised here. I spent all of my 20s trying to get as far away from it as I could, as most 20-year-olds do. I ended up in the military. I've traveled the world. I spent a year in the desert in Iraq in 0304. I came back, I served the community with the fire department, and like to be serving the community, or I feel like this is just like the next chapter in like, how I give back to my community. And, agriculture is something very old, and it's something that's very human. And no matter how technologically advanced we get, we have these interviews via internet and computers and our telephones and whatnot, is that, we still got to know where our food comes from, and we still got to know how to take care of the animals that help us provide food. And so Neighbors is we strive to continue to be close to the ground and plug into the community and help the good citizens of this community. For those people who say, "Oh, I don't know how to garden," it's not that you don't know, it's that you don't remember, because we're not that far removed. So we'll help you all remember.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, thank you for serving our community. Thank you for serving the U.S. And thank you for being a first responder. We love that.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great night, okay?
Hey, thank you so much for this. Take care.
All right, thank you.